When it comes to reaching goals and objectives in a company, it's always true that everyone on the ship has specific tasks that enables that ship to steer ahead. And just like a chain that holds everything, one broken link can be disastrous. Now, we know providing exceptional customer experience can be challenging when the right mindset is not prepared to take on that challenge, which ends up hurting the customer, the team, and company. Hello, everyone. Evie here once again, and I am with David Powers from Router Hero, Contact Center Manager and Head of Customer Experience. So I'm going to start with asking David a little bit about, his past history, to give us a brief career highlights, how he started and how he ended up being to this point. And then from there, I'm going to ask, a few questions regarding customer experience and also company culture. And then we're going to break it down. So David, thank you for, taking the time and sitting with us today. I'm actually excited to be here and to, visit headquarters. This is amazing.
Yeah, no.
And I know you guys are huge. Router Hero is huge.
We're a big one.
Yeah, and you know what I like about you guys? I've been I've seen some billboards that when you guys are hiring, and I've never seen this everywhere. This is the first time. You guys have a guy with a blank question mark.
Yep.
I thought that was genius.
Yeah, I kind of wanted a mirror on that, but the glare.
So whose idea was that?
It was like a brainstorm between myself, our founder, our COO, John, and then marketing agency that we were working with.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was cool. I liked it. So David, tell us a little bit about again, how did you end up here in Router Heroes?
Yeah. So I'll start like any good story towards the beginning. All right,
let's do it.
I've been in the call center, contact center space since I was 17. Right, I've worked in a call center for customer retention for dial-up internet.
All right.
Right when cable and broadband were just getting on the scene.
Yeah.
So they were canceling because they were getting cable.
Oh man.
We had to try to save those accounts.
Right.
Didn't really work, but it is what it is.
Just like today with streaming.
Yeah. It's like Blockbuster's gone.
Right.
It's fine. Everything's fine. But that's where I cut my teeth on customer service. And I was 17, so like I didn't even have like a full salary there because they were doing this like school to work thing.
Right.
And then I liked it better than school. So because I was learning a lot more, the training was pretty intensive. And it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
And then from there, I've worked in call centers pretty much my entire adult life through every single position you can think of, from CSR to or customer service rep, in case you don't know what a CSR is.
Yeah.
Or IT, help desk, supervisor, manager, everything like that. So, and then when I moved to California in 2011 with my wife, because she's originally from here. She wanted to come back because her uncle unfortunately developed Lou Gehrig's disease.
Oh man, sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And so she wanted to spend the last few months.
That makes sense.
So we moved out here, got a job doing tax resolution. That's a story over a beer later.
Yeah.
And then got laid off from there, really needed a job. I was like, yeah, okay, this call center's hiring.
Well, around that time, that's when the economy was still...
Oh, yeah, it was very, very rocky. So that was another reason that we left the East Coast, was because there was... the East Coast was just, or at least the Northeast where I was just completely demolished.
Wow.
When it came to the economy. So I applied to this place, didn't even know what it was. Didn't have like the name on the ad or anything, which was weird. But
yeah.
Got hired as a part-time evening customer service rep. I just needed the money to pay rent.
Of course.
And then I fell in love with the culture, and I've been here ever since. In so 2012.
That's awesome.
Now, yeah,
that's awesome. So, but how did you get here to Router Hero? What was actually this industry alone? how did that begin? Because
Yep.
you started, with customer service, call center, and then from there you switched like completely to you said tax. But then what got you to this point to Root to Hero?
So when I was growing up, my stepdad was an electrician, right? So he was in the trades,
Right.
and I saw how he struggled because back then, 90s, late 90s, like a lot of the things that we have now were just coming into fruition.
Right.
The internet, people actually knowing what customer experience is, stuff like that. So when I could, I'd help out with lead generation with him. And I took things that I was learning from and this is going to sound maybe a little strange to some people, but when I was a teenager, I was really, really into punk rock, right? I had my own band. Yep, I had my own band. I had the mohawk and everything.
Same here, by the way.
So awesome. So we used to make our own show flyers, right? And promote our own show.
Right.
So, which was really fun to do. I even took a commercial art class in high school to help me do better at it. And then, so I used some of the same tactics to advertise for my stepdad.
All right.
So it was very, very DIY. It was like if an electrician and a punk show promoter got together and did it was like that. It was weird, but it worked.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So, and we didn't really have the money to put in like, Yellow Pages ads, things like that. And then when I was like 16, I was actually taking calls for my stepdad's electrician business. So booking appointments, making sure everything set up. So,
oh man, so you were getting prepared.
Yeah. Unbeknownst to me.
Yeah.
So, and then when I started here in 2012, I didn't find out what the name of the company was until I got to the interview. And then I was like, oh, all right, because that's cool. It's basically the same thing I was doing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the transition that you made. Now, what I want to cover again, as I mentioned at the beginning, I want to cover, we're going to cover customer experience, company culture, and then from there, we're going to break it down to values, leadership, and transparency. I know that that's big with you.
Yeah.
And, we want to be able to at least provide the importance of having these two elements in just any business, any industry, because it is important. And I know that even the biggest companies, at some point they forget, right?
Yeah.
I guess it becomes a number, and that's something that I brought up before. So yeah. So my question is this: what is the difference between customer service and customer?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. That's a question that comes up a lot. And the main difference is customer service is a piece of the customer experience. The customer experience is from even like right when they hear about you.
Yeah.
Right. What's the branding? What draws them to call you? Right. That's the beginning of the customer experience.
Right.
Then it goes through the entire customer journey. That's what it exactly is. From the marketing pieces that go out, from the calls to action, through the website, right? Through any other places where they kind of research the company, whether it be review sites or blogs, vlogs, anything like that. We want to cultivate that and culture that to make it us, right? So, and then it goes straight into the contact center, right? Which is where the people would either call, text, email, whatever, however they want to contact us. Do our best to not channel switch on them. So if they come in one channel, we don't want to, have them be like, oh, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, oh, we know you're messaging in, but give us a call.
Right.
Chances are, no, they won't. So things like that. And then it goes through the entire service, right? From booking the appointment to getting it dispatched in a reasonable amount of time with the utmost care and respect for their schedule, all the way through the technician or hero, as we call our technicians. We call them service heroes.
I saw that.
Because yeah, we're good with that. And all the way through to after their issue is fixed and beyond. So we want, what we do is we've taken what's known as the peak end rule and kind of just rolled it in to the complete customer journey.
So this is not just, what is it? You call and I'm gonna give you the best, answer and solution. This is far beyond that.
That is far beyond. And while customer service is a piece of that, right? Customer service, other than the initial booking call, really comes into play when the customer experience failed. So the customer service department is there, one, as the first voice they hear, right, when they call in, but also to pick up any pieces that might, because life is life, right? Things happen. The service hero might get a flat tire on the way to the job.
Yeah, right? Those are reality, real scenarios that happen.
Yeah, or they're stuck on the 405,
right?
And they're not able to get there at the time. It's the customer service's job to pick up that ball and play on, right?
Gotcha. So, why should a business consider customer service than the good old, customer experience than the good old customer service?
Yeah. So, because depending on what industry you're in, there are a lot of companies that look just like yours. They do the same services. Chances are you even have pretty comparable prices.
Right.
Well, what sets you apart? And it's not the van, right? That might be part of it, right? The van rep. It's not the calls to action. Most calls to action are within $30 from each other, right? No, it's the experience that they have with your company and your brand. So with that, the better you can make the customer experience, and I also want to break it down into customer experience and the customer's experience.
Okay.
So
that
might be a little high level, but it is.
That sounds interesting though.
Yeah. So customer experience, a lot of people make the mistake of making it a metric, right? And they forget about the customer.
Right.
They forget about the customer part of the customer experience, and they try to make customer experience its own metric with like NPS, like Net Promoter Score, customer effort score, all of that stuff, right? Which is all fantastic information, and you should get those. But they forget about the customer in the interim, right? And so it's just another number,
right?
It's just another score. It's just another this much to the top line, right? And when you get to a certain spot, you have to remember the customer. You have to be grateful that you were able to service that customer, interact with that customer, right? And that's the difference between it. When you just worry about customer experience rather than the customer's experience, you're ultimately going to fail. It's like if you're chasing money, chances are you're not going to get the money. It's going to run away from you. But if you open yourself up, right, and the money usually comes to you if you're doing the right thing.
So at the end of the day, it's more like, aside from creating the experience, like you mentioned earlier, you start with the marketing piece, and then, the different ways to get the attention of the customer.
Yeah.
And once you get the attention, then you have to, I guess, consider the customer overall. What is it? Either their environment, their, like you mentioned earlier, their schedules.
Yep.
Because if I'm, if I book them on the time when I know they're not going to be available, that's already breaking that customer experience.
Excuse me while I put my coffee down. All right. So here's the thing that a lot of companies do. They make it very, very easy and very, very convenient for themselves, right? We have this window of availability. This is what it is, right? Or we have this policy. This is what it is. And honestly, we should make things as easy and as convenient for our customers as possible, right? One of the best questions that your people answering the phones can really ask the customers, what does your schedule look like? Or how is this issue affecting your schedule?
Instead of the other way around.
Which is where a lot of CRMs mess up too.
Yeah.
Because you should be asking that before you even ask for their address.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just one of those things that irks me, but it's very, very important, especially if you're in a industry or a market that has a lot of companies that look like you, right? So it's one thing that makes you stand apart.
Yeah, I think that's key. Now, many businesses adopt what's called company culture. How does a company culture tie into customer experience?
Yeah. So there are two customer bases, right? There's the external customers who we were just talking about.
Right.
And then there's the internal customers, right? The employees. And I'm of the opinion that I have an equation that I use, and it's EX equals CX squared. So the employee experience equals the customer experience squared. So however you treat the employees in your company, they're going to turn around and treat the customers like that doubly so.
Right.
So if you treat your employees like numbers on a spreadsheet or on a P&L, right, they're going to treat the customers the same exact way. If you treat your employees like rock stars, they're going to treat your customers like rock stars. So, and it's all linked together. There's no getting around the employee experience part of customer experience. Company culture is something that is very, very important. And I know a lot of business owners and other people pay a lot of lip service to it. But when you walk into their buildings, you can hear a pin drop, right? So, because everybody's afraid to talk.
Yeah.
Right. But there should be communication between all of the departments, right? And if you ever worked in a call center or other customer service avenues, one of the worst things that could ever happen is a customer will tell you about the specials that are being on, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I heard this commercial, and the person on the phone is like, oh.
You know what? That does happen. I know
a lot,
especially, for example, on e-commerce, when a piece goes out, right?
Yep.
Customer service is unaware that this special went out. And so I think that's where the communication, it's very important.
Yeah. So one of the first things you should do for your company culture is to eliminate and knock down any silos, right? Marketing should not be its own independent little secluded room, right? They should be in direct contact with customer service, sales, accounting, legal, everything, right? And a lot of the times we're finding that all the departments are siloed. All of them are apart. They don't communicate.
That's why they blame each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It eliminates any chance of transparency. It eliminates any chance of being part of the same unit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it goes back to what I mentioned in my introduction. You know, one weak link that breaks, it just brings disaster to the whole team, the whole company.
And I'm seeing it over customer again.
Right. Now, let's talk about values. You have something called peace.
Yep.
What is it, or what does it mean?
Yep. So peace is the contact center's code of values for the department itself, right? It's in concert, but also different than the overall company code of values that we have for Wooter Hero, right? Peace stands for perseverance, excellence, ambition, customer centricity, and empathy, right? Those are the values that are most important in a customer service role.
Right.
So I can break it down further if you want, but we live and breathe that. And tell you the truth, I came up with that on the bus on the way in one morning.
Did you?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is cool. And then
it makes sense, bro.
Yeah. And then I just elaborated on it, kept working on it, hammering it out. Got some feedback of the customer service people that we had at the time, that we still have. And yeah, we ironed it out, rolled it out, and now it's how we run the department.
Yeah. I mean, when I heard you, bringing up the word peace, obviously I heard it and I'm like, yeah, all of this makes sense, because it goes back to what you were saying, that each department needs to, I guess, be in communication with each other.
Yep.
Everyone plays an important role in, again, the whole culture. And that is the culture.
Yep.
Right? Now, this question is very important. Why is the leader's role in customer experience and company culture very important?
Yep. So the leader And I've met a lot of leaders who were anything but, right? They either managed like an authoritarian or they managed off of a spreadsheet, right? And everybody was their numbers. But the leader is also the person that people will look up to for guidance, right? And they'll see what the leader is doing. If what the leader is saying and what the leaders are doing are two completely separate things, there's not going to be a respect there, right? They're going to be like, oh, well, if it's okay for him to, say this about a customer, it's okay for me, right? So, and I've seen that over and over again. The leader is there, one, to kind of set the stage, right? Set the expectations, right? And then live up to it. And help everybody else live up to it, right? This is the goal of excellence that we have. This is the culture that we're going to have, right? I'm living this. I expect everyone else to as well, right? If you're not, maybe you're not in the right role.
Set the example.
Yeah. And then the other thing the leader is there for is they work for the people that they lead, right? They're the go-to resource, right? They're the one that can be reached out to 24/7 if there's an issue. And honestly, there's a lot of issues that I know about that have nothing to do with work. But people, and I'm thankful for this, will reach out about their personal life as well for advice or just a vent.
I think that's one of the things that we forget, that we're still humans, and as much as we want to avoid our personal conflicts or whatever's happening, as they say, leave your conflicts outside. It's easier than to say it than
it doesn't work in reality. Not many people can partition their heads to be like, oh no, this is how I am at home, this is how I am at work.
That's
what
not
happens
realistic.
here doesn't happen here. And no, just because you get out of your car, walk through a door, doesn't make those problems go away. So, and I don't want to say it's dumb to think that way. I think it's more naive, right? Because nobody that I know is able to do that 100%.
You can't.
Right? No, it's impossible. If you're having a bad day at home and you come to work, you're not going to drop that on the commute. Right?
It's going to affect you.
Yeah, and vice versa too. Like if you have a bad day at work, you're going to bring it home even if you don't mean it. So
you don't even have to have a bad day at work. You could have a bad moment in the road, and then you get to the office or wherever, and it's just it takes away the focus.
Oh yeah,
that's being realistic.
Yeah. So there needs to be. Everybody's talking about like work-life balance, and while I'm a firm believer in that, it's more like a harmony, right? So because a third of your life is spent working, a third of your life is spent sleeping, and then the last third and 0.1 is your home life, right? Hobbies, family, everything, and you need to balance those three things, right? So without sacrificing one of them,
right?
So it's a really hard thing to balance sometimes, especially if you're having a fight with a wife, or your husband's being a jerk, or your kids are failing school, or you get cut off on the freeway.
Yeah, I know.
Or you you take back-to-back upset customers, right? And some customers, they know how to push buttons. So
I think that's where I guess one must have to. I don't know if it's practice or just realize that that's part of the job.
Yeah, it is. And if you have to have a thick skin in customer service, but that's where the perseverance part of peace comes in.
But you know what? That does help. I mean, I think by allowing those type of scenarios to just come to you, you build up.
Yep.
And then the next time, you build that patience, and then you get tested on those patience.
Yep.
And so you're able to think much more clear, I think, that, and it helps you to come up with a solution or whatever.
No, 100%. It's practicing, one, getting that thick skin, and it's also building up that perseverance muscle and problem solving skills, which honestly, and I know a lot of people view customer service as an entry-level job, right? Unfortunately, it has that stigma.
Yeah, true.
But the skills that you can learn, most especially that one, will help one, either move up in the ranks in your customer service position or in other aspects of your career and personal life.
But I say that because I have the same thinking. It does help you.
Yep.
Because then you are able to, in different environments, when you meet people, you'll understand, and it helps you to not be a jerk.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I guess the role of a leader is to have communication and be there for the for the team. That's all.
Right.
Right. I think that's the way we should see it, as a team.
Yeah.
Rather than an employee or whichever.
100%.
Because then everyone becomes part of that whole environment.
Yeah. No, 100%. And we always have to remember that we work for them. They don't work for us.
Right.
So.
Now, I mentioned earlier, a few seconds ago, about, leaders must be the example. Now, a leader must lead by example and believe in company values to succeed, right? But how can a team member adopt those that same mindset?
Yep. That's
that's the challenge there.
That is the challenge. And it's learned behavior. Most people don't come into a company exuding every aspect of the culture, right? There are certain people that come in and they fit within certain elements of the already existing culture, and that's really what you should hire on, right? Is you should hire and fire off of your culture, right? Within reason.
Of course.
California. So, but the thing is, they need to see the culture in action. They need to see the values in action every day, right? The values are a lot more than just words on a piece of paper on the wall, right? It needs to be part of the entire organization.
Yeah.
So every decision that gets made should be kind of bounced against the values. Does this pass the muster, right? Is this in the spirit of values first for the company or peace for the contact center? Does it make sense with that? And then once people start seeing that in action, right, and you don't become a hypocrite by I know this, we practice perseverance, but
do I want to persevere?
Yeah,
because I know this happens a lot, and I'm sure you experience this, where when a new hiree comes in and that hiree has a description, right? And for some reason they end up only following that description, and they don't go beyond that description, and so it becomes stagnant, and and I think that sort of hurts everyone else, because everyone's doing far beyond their means and to make things better.
Right.
What do you do with those type of people?
Yep. For those people, and honestly, a lot of the times I don't fault them for that, because they are doing exactly what they were hired for.
Right.
You can't really complain if someone's doing their job and doing it well, right?
True.
Now, there comes a time where job responsibilities evolve, right? No one wants to be in the same position for a decade, right? With no variation, with no upward growth. I'm sure they exist, but they're very rare and far between. So you have to have a discussion with them. Where do you see yourself going with this role, right? What is your end, right? And a lot of the times they do have an end goal, even if it's not with you, right? That's when it's your responsibility as a leader to start molding them to fit whatever role that is, right? Or whatever they want to accomplish, right? Even if it's not with you, right? Because chances are when they're building that skill set, they're going to be benefiting your company, your department, while they learn these skills.
And themselves too.
Yep, and themselves. And that's going to translate over into other people who work in the department that maybe had the same mindset as that, right? And then because people try to emulate, right? We're humans, we all do it.
Yeah.
So we all change our speaking mannerisms and little quirks if we hang out with people for long enough, right?
Exactly.
So that spreads. Yeah, that spreads like, I don't want to say a virus, because that's usually a negative connotation, but if there was a positive virus, it spreads. And what you got to do is you just have to talk to people, right? You have to find out what's going on. You have to find out what their mindset is, right? And you have to have conversations. You have to get to know the people that you work with, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way you can help them. If they don't know you and you don't know them, if there is an issue, that issue probably isn't going to get solved, or it's going to get solved in a way that's not mutually beneficial.
That's true. That's true. Now, when something goes wrong, whether in the company or with a customer, there's this instinct that enables one to come up with an excuse, right? And not confront the issue.
Yep.
Why is that? And so why is transparency so important?
Yep. So transparency is one of the things that will set your culture apart from others, right? Root or Hero, every month we have an all staff meeting where we go over all of the numbers, right, for the company. Positive, negative, these people made this much, these people made that much, they have this, that, and the other. And we go through all of the divisions that we have, which is quite a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then in the contact center, right, we release everybody's stats, good, bad, ugly, right, at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the month, right, and at the end of the month to see how people progressed, or unfortunately, in a couple of cases, maybe regressed, right? That way, everybody is able to see how they're doing compared to the team, right? And we want to keep it as transparent as possible. Whenever we make changes in like scoring or quality assurance, we tell the people actually doing the work usually 2 to 3 weeks before the changes actually go through, so they're not caught off guard, right? Oh, on the old system, you would have gotten this. On the new system, you failed, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Nobody likes that. Nobody says, oh, cool, you changed it. Amazing. No, you have to, that's where I'm not very good, because I'm not a very, I'm going to say patient guy. It's one thing that's benefited me in my career, because I will just take an idea and run with it. And if it doesn't work, oh well.
Right.
Right. Not everybody's like that. I will change things just to change them. It's kind of like
just to see where it goes?
Yeah. I just want to see if it'll work, and why not? TikTok diagnosed me with ADD, so I'm going to run with that, and it is what it is, but you have to be transparent in these things. You can't just make changes without telling anybody and then having everybody be caught off guard.
And the same thing goes with the customer, because for example, earlier we were talking about the scheduling.
Yep.
If something occurs, let's say the technician on the way, something mechanical occurred. You call.
Yep.
And it's better to just be honest than come up with an excuse. Because
100%. Yeah.
I think they'll sort of sense it.
Yeah.
People sense those stuff.
Oh, no, definitely. You want to be as transparent as possible with the customer, with the employee. If someone messes up, right, don't just wait for the next performance review.
Yeah.
Address it. You don't have to be a jerk about it, right? But hey, I just listened to this. Let's listen to it together. Where did it go off the rails? That kind of thing. Nobody will give better feedback than the person who made the mistake, because they know, right? And you don't want to wait.
Right.
Waiting just removes it from the urgent matter that it usually is. Even minor mistakes should be pointed out, not in a rude way, just as
more like a constructive criticism.
Exactly. But waiting or ignoring or
it builds up.
Hiding it. It's incredibly detrimental, not only to their own performance, because a lot of people, they want to be the nice guy, right? And there's a huge difference between being nice and being kind, right? A nice person, they're going to sugarcoat any mistakes that are being made. Oh, you messed this up, but you're doing great, right? A kind person would point out the mistake, give feedback, and help them improve. Right.
That's true.
The huge difference between those two.
Yeah. So I agree. So there you go. If anyone is going through a rough patch and, a satisfying customer experience, or is having a hard time implementing these type of things that we talked about with David, consider creating points and also know how to work with, the different people, different employees that you're with. And communication is always important. Without communication, then, as I stated in the beginning of my intro, when the link is weak, then it brings disaster to the whole team. And I actually feel and believe that when having a strong team from, the minor position to the greater, everything is seamless.
Yeah.
And I think many companies these days, and I recently had a conversation with a HVAC plumber, with an HVAC contractor, and the same thing. They said that, given the customer and experience where they will remember you.
Yeah.
And if you just want to provide the service, you could do that. You can give them the service, but that doesn't give value, and it doesn't grow into having this long-term relationship.
Correct. Right. And that's the name of the game. That's where you have to be.
Yeah.
You should be developing relationships with the customer. The customer should be, whenever an issue comes up, they should call you, right? Because of the experience they already had with you, right? If they keep bouncing around to different companies, it's not a failure on their part.
Yeah.
So it's a failure on all of those companies.
Yeah, and they're in the right to do that.
Oh yeah,
because that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
They're looking for service provider that is going to meet their expectations.
Yep.
And they want to be able to have this comfortable approach.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, right now the customer expectations are rising exponentially, right? Right now we're at a 17, it might be 18-year low on customer satisfaction.
Wow.
Right? But expectations are rising, and that's mostly because of places like Amazon and, where you can...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or Chick-fil-A, things like that, where even if the line is long, you're going to be out of there in like 5 minutes, and they're going to say, "My pleasure," at the end, right? And then, they call another place after dealing with both Amazon and Chick-fil-A and a handful of other places, and then they're on hold for an hour. Or when they get to the counter, the cashier grunts and says, "Hi," right? So, and it's crazy, but there's a huge divide. There's a huge gulf between customer expectations and how they're actually being treated.
Yeah.
Right. And we need to close that gap.
That's true.
Right. And it's hard. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. Right. It takes time. It takes grit. It takes effort. And it takes allocating some resources towards it.
I agree. Now, this is off topic. And before we conclude, I have this question that just came into my mind right now. I know that Home Depot has, different departments, and they also include offering the same services like, either plumbing or HVAC or whatever.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
I think the more competition, the better, right? It allows people to step up their game.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's a good thing. I think it's good practice, right? I think giving the customers more options is always a great thing, right? But that's me. I voted for Ralph Nader in 2000, so it is what it is. And I think it's a chance for companies to really step up their customer experience game.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to agree with you on that because it places you in the position to make your company also stand out from the big whale.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So, because that's the way it is. And
exactly.
The more you can make yourself stand out, because you have to, in this environment, in this economy, in this industry, you have to make yourself stand out.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're just going to be another chuck in a truck.
That's true. That's true. Well, thank you, David, once again.
My pleasure.
So again, if you found this interview very informative and helpful, because again, just because I'm speaking with David from Root Hero doesn't mean that anyone can do better either. Like right now he mentioned competition is always good. And so it's an opportunity for any company to step up and do the best they can. So again, if you like this interview, hit the like button, subscribe, and also don't forget to visit blockmarketing.com if you're looking for any opportunities in growing your business as well.